What's going on, 49er faithful, 49er fam, 49er gang? It's your boy 49er Dion back here with another video. Definitely wanted to hit y'all with this one. So before I get into that, definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. Now this video, however, has something and nothing to do with the 49ers at the same time. It's more so focused on what the NFL has done recently. And I wanted to get into it because I wanted people to understand the severity of the situation and kind of, take a look at it from a open mind perspective. So the NFL has recently had a few owners in the league, basically come together and say, hey, we need to hire more black people. We need more minorities, whether they be black or Latino. But we got to figure out a way for this to benefit us. So their resume isn't good enough. What they've done in the league isn't good enough. But the fact that they came up with a way to incentivize themselves for hiring minority candidates. So this doesn't make sense. You mean to tell me in a place in the United States of America where hard work and perseverance is supposed to get you everything in this world and your resume should speak for itself, where we're in the land of equality and all this other bullshit, blah blah fucking blah. You mean to tell me a bunch of old white men came together and said, if we got to hire these people, we gonna have to make sure we get something out of it? Okay. So we have Brian Flores, Anthony Lynn, and Mike Tomlin as head coaches in the NFL that are black. Brian Flores been in Miami a year. Anthony Lynn's been with the Chargers 3 years. Mike Tomlin's been with the Steelers 13 years. Now, the reason Mike Tomlin has had such a long history with the Steelers is, number one, the man just doesn't lose. He loses games, but he just doesn't lose. He's never had a losing season the whole time he's been in Pittsburgh. On top of that, the Steelers just don't change head coaches like that. They had Chuck Noll for God knows how long. Then they had Bill Cowher forever. And then you see us went over to Mike Tomlin. They just don't change things. Now, I mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers to say that Art Rooney, the owner, God rest his soul, invented the Rooney Rule, basically saying that you have to at least interview minority candidates for positions in your organization. So that basically guaranteed you an interview. Doesn't guarantee you a job. This new rule that they have now, they are basically saying that they're trying to tell you, if you get yourself a minority GM and or a minority head coach, we'll go ahead and give you better draft picks. So think about it like this. Andrew Berry is the only black GM in the league right now. Only one. There are no other black GMs in the league, period. We have 32 teams, one African American man that is a GM. Let that sink in. And for the people out there saying, oh, your resume speaks for itself and this, that, and the third and all this, that's a crock of shit. Because you got some real shitty ass GMs out there that didn't do that damn good of a job, that continually got jobs over and over and over again, probably over candidates that, may not have had the resume that they have as far as working for several teams, but I can guarantee you they were probably going to make way better decisions than them. That's just how it works. So I'll bring up one specific thing that I know very, very closely. So Bruce Arians leaves Arizona. Steve Wilks was the defensive coordinator of the Jets, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. You can put it in the comments. Steve Wilks was the defensive coordinator for the Jets. Steve Wilks gets the job. They draft Josh Rosen. 3-13. After one season as a head coach, Steve Wilks, fired, gone. Get him out of there. They hire Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury has a record at Texas Tech of 35-40. The man isn't even at 500. He only had 2 winning seasons the whole time he was there, and those were barely above 500. Cliff Kingsbury goes 5-10-1 in his first year as the head coach of the Cardinals. So explain to me how Cliff Kingsbury, and he's still got a job, mind you. They did not fire him from 5-10-1. No, they drafted Kyler Murray. He's 5-10-1. They and what happens is they hire Cliff Kingsbury because of his offensive mind. So you hire Steve Wilkes because of his defensive prowess. So if you hired Steve Wilkes, why wouldn't you hire a dope-ass offensive coordinator? That way Wilkes could focus on the defense and then let the offensive coordinator run the offense, and then things make more sense, right? You would believe that's the case. Didn't work out that way. So explain to me how Steve Wilkes had 1 year and Josh Rosen, 3 wins, 13 losses, and he got fired. But Cliff Kingsbury comes in with a college resume that definitely doesn't dictate head coach in the NFL, and goes 5-10-1. He still has a job. Now, mind you, head coaches are typically hired because of offensive prowess. They want an offensive mind because offense makes everything go around. The offense puts up the points. The defense is supposed to stop the points. This is just simple mathematics, people. This is how it works. So what's killing me is you gave this black man 1 season and told him, get the fuck on out of here. We finna hire this white dude that doesn't have the resume you have. He doesn't have any NFL. I mean, he may know some people in the NFL, but he has no NFL resume whatsoever. His resume in college is extremely subpar, and he definitely shouldn't be having a head coaching job. But because of the system that he runs and the quarterback that we're looking at picking up, yeah, we think this will be a better fit than you. I just don't get it. To me, it's extremely offensive that the NFL, or should I say any owners, would come up with this. That is extremely offensive to me as a black man in America. See, in the Super Bowl, there's only been one time that 2 black head coaches have met. That was when the Bears played the Colts. It was Lovie Smith versus Tony Dungy. Now, Tony Dungy's a damn good coach. Dungy did a great job with the Bucs. He did a damn good job with the Colts. Shit, he only had 1 shitty year with Peyton Manning, and the rest of that, they were in the fucking playoffs. Lovie Smith, wonderful defensive mind. That Bears defense was nasty under his watch. And if you don't believe me, go back and check that man's record. His resume speaks for itself. But Lovie Smith has been relegated to defensive coordinator, DB's coach, things of that nature. So when you get hired for a head coaching position, typically they want an offensive mind because they want the offense to go. They want the offense to produce because that's going to make you win games. Your defense isn't going to score very often. It's just not common. If your defense is scoring more often, that means your offense is shit. And there are years, like the years the Bears went to the Super Bowl, where they had Rex Grossman and I can't forget the other guys. I can't remember the other guy's name. But they basically had 2 quarterbacks. Both of them were, kind of in and out because one would get injured, the other one would play, and vice versa. But the Bears' defense was that damn good. When the Ravens won the Super Bowl, the Ravens' defense was that damn good. It carried them most of the year. But so what's really offensive is, to me, and I'm just going to tell you how I feel about this, and this is just my opinion, and, anybody watching this video, I hope you don't get offended. It sounds to me like it was a bunch of old white men that got in the room and said, hey, look, we got to hire these niggas. We better make sure it's worth our fucking while. So what can we do to hire these motherfuckers and get them off our ass? They up there complaining and they crying and, they making it a big deal. Social media is doing this and doing that. So then what are we doing? And one of them said, fuck it, we need better draft picks. If we hire them, we get better draft picks. Now, the funny thing about this is, if I hire you, I get a better draft pick. I might get a boost in the 3rd round, or I might possibly get a better pick in the 1st round. But that doesn't guarantee my job. that guarantees you hire me because you want that better pick, because you want the player to be able to make your team better. That does not mean that you want me around for the long haul. That does not mean that you believe in me. That does not mean that my resume spoke for itself. That basically does not mean anything. That basically means I'm here because there is an advantage to having me here. It's basically, you could compare this to being a player. Okay, let me give y'all some game here. And this is coming from a cat from LA. Players have people, players have women around for specific reasons. Everybody serves a purpose. Okay, so you might have one to give you money, one to give you, give you head, one that, is just great at this, one you like to show off. You have people for different reasons. Everybody serves a purpose. But at the end of the day, once you stop serving your purpose, you will be replaced. So at the end of the day, if I get this GM job and you get a better third round pick, and a third round pick turns into a fucking all-star and he becomes an all-pro and he winds up making a Pro Bowl and everything, that don't guarantee my damn job. That just guarantees that player made your team better. And you know what happens to me? See you later. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me here. Now, unless there's some kind of, clause in the rule that states that you can't hire him to get the better pick and then kick him out the house, as far as the franchise is concerned, that's the only way that shit makes anything stable. Other than that, who knows? To me, it sounds like a crock of shit. And I'm really offended that anybody in the NFL would even think that this is great. And what's more disappointing, and I'm going to say this wholeheartedly, what's more disappointing to me is that I watched First Take. I love the show. Love Stephen A. Love Max. Molly's beautiful. Shout out to Jada Rose, who is her husband. But what kills me is they do this, and they do this a lot. And I go back to the same point that I made in a video a long time ago. They make Stephen A. accept the negative things that affect black people, and they make Max the savior. So you run it back, and Stephen A. is accepting the shit, and then Max is going, nah, that's wrong. So you got Max, the Jewish dude, who always comes to, the minority rescue, but then you got Stephen A. sitting here agreeing with the bullshit that's going on with these owners. It don't make no sense. And it's disappointing to me that he has as much clout as he has in that building, and they pay that man a hefty sum of money. But that just tells you people can be controlled. And it's a very unfortunate thing, because he said on TV that he loved it, but then his argument that he put up for loving it basically completely contradicted him loving the situation. So there may be some times where there's slights where he'll slide something in, and then maybe the producers after the show, hey man, you weren't supposed to say that. And he probably look at him like, I don't give a fuck. But the other thing is, when T.I. was on there, and they were talking about, all the crime in America and and the shooting of unarmed black men and everything. He made it a point to go straight to black on black crime and inner city and this, that, and the third. And T.I. checked him right on TV. He said, no, you can't do that, brother, because then that gives them a reason to do what they're doing. You are okaying and validating their reason for doing what they are doing. And Stephen A. had to stop himself. That's one of the very few times I've ever seen that man get stopped and have to go, okay, all right. They caught the play that I was making. I was doing what I normally do on here, and here it is. But period, point blank, you have 3 head coaches, and you got 32 teams. So, there's 29 other teams that have a white head coach. Because you got 2 black people, and you got, you have 28 other teams, because you have 3 black people, and you have 1 Hispanic. You want to have 1 Latino in Ron Rivera. But then you only have 1 black GM. We had Ozzie Newsome, but Ozzie retired. And I can respect that. Excuse me. So I'll end this video in saying this. It's offensive to me to think that you can't go somewhere and get a job and do what you're supposed to do, and that's supposed to be everything for you. Your resume technically is supposed to speak for itself. You shouldn't have that kind of a situation where you're stuck like Chuck because you're black or you're Latino or you're Asian or whatever you are. Your resume should speak for itself. Sometimes I get it in this world, it's all about who you know. That is a very high probability. Sometimes in this world about spinning things and making it work in your favor. I'll give y'all a little game. I learned on monster.com years and years and years ago that when you go into an interview, if you are in the person's office, your first thing should be to look around that office and understand what's in there and find that person's likes and dislikes. You can see what they do. And if you do that, you could take that conversation from a conversation about a job into a friendly conversation about what you know about them just from the things in their office, and that'll get you the job even easier. And it happened for me. I went in to get a job at Just Tires. It was in the early 2000s. I walked right in there. I seen the dude went to USC. I'm a diehard UCLA fan. So I jokingly looked at him and told him, "Oh, that's all right. I don't think we'll need to do the interview." He says, "Why?" I said, "Well, I see that plaque up there, and I see your degree. You went to SC." And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, please don't tell me you're a Bruin fan." And I looked at him and I said, "Die hard." He fell out laughing. I fell out laughing. I spent 5 extra minutes talking to that man about the job, and the rest of that time BSing with him about a UCLA USC rivalry that's been going on for years. Easy way to get the job. But for me, as a black man in America, if I want to be a GM, I can't get the job unless it incentivizes you to give me the job. My resume won't speak for itself. What I've done, the things that I've done for the other organizations that I've worked for, isn't good enough for you. You have to get a better draft pick to hire me. Bullshit, people. Straight bullshit. And if any of y'all believe that that's okay, that's your opinion. It is what it is. My opinion is that's a crock of shit, and that rule should not be put into play. Because if I got to incentivize you to hire me as a black man, that is appalling and atrocious. And these old white men should be ashamed of themselves for even trying to implement something like that. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all have a good evening. I'm out.